Hello, everyone. So today we will be talking about Chapter 5, the definite article and adjectives. We like to lump them together, especially Croy does, because the endings are mostly the same. Uh, all the endings for the definite article you'll see are also the endings you'll see for the adjectives. So it's not really learning two paradigms, it's really you're learning one. And actually, you've already learned this. But now we're just going to apply it to two different cases so that you'll be able to make more sentences. So what is an article? Uh, in English, there is two different kinds of articles. There's the definite and the indefinite. The definite is things like the boy, the dog, the airplane, the man, the woman. But our indefinite is just the letter A or an. A boy, a dog, an airplane, a man, a woman. Uh, it's just generic. Definite implies, oh, this is the one we're talking about. The boy, the one we're talking about. A boy could be any boy. And so that is the difference between the two articles. I think most of you are already probably familiar with articles in English. In Koine Greek, uh, the definite article works very similarly to the English article the. So, but you have ha theos is the god, uh, or he adelphe, the sister. Note, since God is also a proper noun, the definite article is not always translated in English. So you get the god or just God. Uh, but indefinite, uh, there actually is no indefinite article in Greek. So theos and adelphe could be God or sister, or a god and a sister. And how do you know? Well, context. So there's different forms based on the paradigms you learned for the first and second declension nouns. Masculine follows the ha paradigm, feminine, he, and neuter ta. Uh, oh shoot, I forgot I left that up there. Just ignore that. So this is all the forms. You might notice some similarities to the forms you learned in the first and second declensions. This is another way of writing it out based on whether it's singular or plural. I just thought that showing you two different ways uh, would maybe help you get some more ways to think about it. You can see all of the singular together, follow the a, and then u, ace, oa with the iota subscript, and then news at the bottom for the accusative. Um, do these forms look familiar? Just look at how they are to the forms themselves. You have the genitive. The genitive follows pretty strictly with all the genitives of the masculine, feminine, and neuter. U for the masculine singular. Own for all the genitive plurals. The sigma and the feminine follows over into the genitive singular. And U again is in the neuter genitive singular. Uh, in both the masculine and the neuter, the datives are the same. So O and ois. You can see that in lago, lagois, ergo, ergois. They all follow that ending. So you're not learning anything new here. Uh, but the accusative, there is a little bit of a difference. The masculine and feminine have some similarities, namely, the singular accusative has that new ending. Um, for both, and has the us and as ending for the plurals of masculine and feminine. But the neuter, if you remember, the nominative and the accusative always have to match. So since the nominative singular is to, the accusative singular also has to be to. And since the neuter singular for ergon is ergon, the accusative has to be ergon. And so then you have hoi and hai in the masculine and feminine plurals. So together would be hoi logoi would be the words, hai horai would be the hours when put together. And then you have, again, the neuter nominative and accusative follow that same rule of they have to match. And the neuter plural is always going to end in the alpha stem. A lot of these things you've seen before, only a little bit of it is new, but the rest you should be able to just figure out. It shouldn't be too hard to remember. But then you have adjectives. Adjectives, like nouns, agree in case, number, and gender. So let me give you an example as what that means. They must agree with that noun they're modifying in case, number, and gender. So some examples. Let's use mikros for all of these. Mikros meaning small. Mikros oikos, if you notice the case, number, and gender is masculine nominative singular, os. Mikrophone is feminine nominative singular, and both for phone and for mikra. And mikron teknon is neuter nominative singular. It has to match that noun in front of it in case, number, and gender. You can never use a masculine adjective to refer to a feminine or neuter subject. And same with the others. And so let's use mikros as our example here as we're looking through. A lot of this you're going to see is you already know or are learning. And this should not be too different from the definite article paradigm. Little word about the feminine. Occasionally, you will get adjectives with a different ending than a. Sometimes you'll get a, like the eta. And in those, you really need to look at that stem in your vocab list to see if it's a or a. So that way you can know which rules to follow whenever you are writing it out. There's three types of adjectives: attributive, predicate, and substantive. I will give most of the attention to the first two, starting with the attributive. So what is an attributive noun? This is a noun that is used together, kind of like how we use adjectives usually. Usually when we use adjectives, we say the blank noun. Greek calls this the first attributive, where it follows the definite article, da, the adjective, and the noun. So one example would be, hey microphone. Hey microphone. The small microphone, voice. The small voice. And this follows the pattern of definite article, adjective, noun. The small voice. Another one is ton necron anthropon. What's interesting about this is that, like we stated earlier, your adjectives have to match your noun and case number and gender. So here it is a genitive plural for anthropon, which is masculine. So that's how we can tell the gender of this. So ton necron anthropon is the dead men, or really of the dead men, since it's genitive, but the dead men here. It follows that definite article, adjective, noun. Definite article, adjective, noun. But there's a second attributive, and this is definite article, noun, definite article, adjective. And so this is the noun, the adjective. So hephone he mikra is translated the same way as the small voice. It's translated the exact same way, but here it's the voice, the small one. It kind of is going back and saying, hey, that noun I just stated, it's that one, as opposed to other ones. It's the small voice. And ton anthropon, ton necron, is the men, the dead ones, or translated the same way of the dead men. And so those are the two ways in which an adjective can be used in attributive position. Is definite article, adjective, noun, or definite article, noun, definite article, adjective. I keep forgetting I put this in. My apologies. Just ignore that. And so the second use of the adjective is a predicate. How do we know when it's a predicate use? Well, it's when it could be used with a linking verb like be or become. So what does that mean? Hephone mikra. Notice this is not definite article, adjective, noun. This is definite article, noun, adjective. This is not first attributive because the adjective is not in the middle. So the voice, small. In other words, the voice is small. We would include that be verb in the middle to know the voice is small. It's not the small voice. Or ha anthropos nekros. The man dead. The man is dead. And so that is how we would use the predicate. And then the third one is the substantive. Adjectives can imply a noun, even when there's no noun written. If you remember in scripture, it says, the wicked will not prosper. The righteous will go into a good land. What is that? That is adjectives, righteous, wicked, but they're being used like a noun. Hey kale. Hey kale is the good or the beautiful. But really, it could be referring to the beautiful woman, the beautiful sea, the beautiful land, the beautiful girl. All of these are feminine nouns that could be referred to because the adjective is feminine. Or ta eskata, if you notice, that is neuter. Ta eskata is the last, and it's plural. So the last things, the last works, the last children. And we know it's these because it's neuter, and things is neuter, works is neuter, children is also neuter. And so that's how we can use this substantively. And notice again, the usually, unless there's context, the masculine adjective substantive is translated as men. The feminine is translated as women, and the neuter is translated as thing. Those are the most common. And unless it's referring to a noun earlier in the paragraph, it's probably going to be man, woman, or thing. And that's something to keep in mind. Hoi poneroi is the wicked men, because hoi is plural and it's also masculine. Notice here it's also usually men. It could also be people, though. This is purple because the masculine plural can also refer to both masculine and feminine genders. So hoi poneroi could not just be men, it could also be the wicked men and women. Because masculine is kind of used as a catch-all whenever both genders are used. You know it's only feminine when it's feminine, but when it's masculine, it's usually masculine, but sometimes it's both masculine and feminine. And so, as a review, attributive has two ways. It's definite article, adjective, noun, or definite article, noun, definite article, adjective. And these are the only forms of the attributive. The only forms. It has to have the definite articles. Predicate is noun, adjective. The noun is, was, the adjective. And notice it can be past time depending on the context. Substantive is the definite article adjective. It gives the wicked or evil or good, men, women, things, depending on the gender, number, and case. So what about when there's no definite article? How do I know whether it's predicate or attributive when there's no definite article? Like what if it's an indefinite construction? How would I know? Well, if it's indefinite, really, Carlos Curias or Curias Carlos could be translated the same way. Yes, these two can be translated the exact same way, but what determines whether or not it's attributive or predicate is the context. So the rules for attributive that we learned are only when the definite article is involved. So Carlos Curios could be the Lord is good, or it could be a good Lord. Or Curios Carlos could be a Lord is good, or a good Lord. It can be translated either way depending on the context. And with these rules, you are ready now to try out your definite article and your adjective. Remember to get plenty of practice, and I hope that this is more familiar than you realize. You got this.